Yo, what is up guys? It's the Goblin and welcome back to another Call of Duty Black Ops 4 video. In tonight's video, we're going to be talking about the top 5 weapons in this game as of right now, in my opinion. And in this video, I'm actually going to be ordering them and breaking them down from the top 5 all the way down to number 1 and putting them in specific order. Of course, everyone's going to disagree on the order, different things like that, depending on what weapons you prefer. But we're going to talk about that all in today's video. It's been about almost 2 months, I think, since the last time I talked about the top 5 guns in this game. And while there haven't been too many balance changes, there have been constant changes to just a bunch of things with the meta and the multiplayer, but most of the changes were with Blackout and Zombies. However, I do think more stuff is going to be up and coming, and there always is, you know, even the smallest of changes too. They nerf or buff one weapon can shift the whole meta and shift how different weapons are used. Same thing with an attachment or anything like that, or even map changes. So we're going to talk about that all in today's video. If you guys could drop a like on this thing, let's go for 1,500 likes. That would be absolutely amazing if we could hit that. It only takes literally like a millisecond to hit that like button, so I'd very much appreciate it if you guys could smack that like button. That would be absolutely awesome. And before we get into this, I want to give 3 honorable mentions to weapons that didn't quite make my top 5 but easily could have, and you know, are probably going to be on a bunch of other people's top 5s. And those weapons I'm going to give honorable mentions to are the Daemon 3XB submachine gun, which is just an absolutely deadly burst submachine gun. However, the reason it didn't make the list is because I think there are some submachine guns that are a little bit better than it, but it definitely is a top tier SMG. The Vapor assault rifle, another one that's just super duper reliable, but just doesn't have anything statistically to put it as like that really top tier gun in the game, but still one of my favorite guns. And then the Titan LMG, which of course did receive quite a few nerfs over the the last couple of months, but basically is still in a spot where if you want a reliable LMG with not too much flinch, can do a good job. So those are my honorable mentions. Of course, there's still a lot of other guns that deserve honorable mentions. ICR, shout out to the ABR, the Auger, a bunch of other weapons that are awesome in this game. However, we're breaking down to the top 5, and in the 5th spot, we got the Swordfish here. And this is for people that love burst weapons. I think the Swordfish deserves a spot on this list, and the reason why it's not higher than number 5 is because there is no stock available for it. If there was stock available, this weapon would remind me a lot of like a Black Ops, an M8 from Black Ops 3, even though it already does. But you can still rock this thing with the Pentaburst or with High Caliber or with both and have a 1 burst potential. So I do think this deserves a spot on the list as a number 5. This is a hit or miss weapon depending on if you like to play with stock or without stock, or if you like burst weapons or don't like burst weapons. Me personally, stock is such a big deal when using an assault rifle, and that's why that really does affect me when using this. However, if you can play to a distance and play to like medium to long range with its strengths and get quite a few 1 burst kills, you can go absolutely ham with this weapon. Coming in at the number 4th spot, and of course you guys might disagree with the order, disagree with the list, but of course these are my opinion, and if you pick, let's be honest, any of these weapons, you're going to be doing completely fine with it in multiplayer as long as you have a decent class setup as well. The KN. Now the KN in this game is really strong, and it deserves number 4 on my list. I think there's a multiple, the cool thing about this weapon is you can go multiple ways with it. It has hybrid mags, which is absolutely amazing. You can slap this thing, you can go default sight, you can go with an ELO sight, you can go with a red dot sight, you can go with even like a suppressor on this thing. Stock is available. There's just so many different options. Rapid fire, grip, quick draw. You almost have a plethora of options to go with, and it's a weapon that can really, if you have rapid fire, actually has such a good time to kill up close. And the coolest thing about this assault rifle is something unique about the KN, is the fact that there actually is a 4-shot kill range, which is only with the KN and the Rampart. And of course the Rampart's recoil is a little bit harder to keep up with, and that's why I put the KN on this spot on the list. A very sturdy standard assault rifle that can work for a plethora or multiple different class setups. Coming in on the next one we're going to talk about in a second, and this is where we break it down more into the top 3 weapons in this game, and I think these 3 can be organized in any specific way, and it is pretty unique that there are, I'm going to say it right now, there's 2 SMGs on this list, and that is pretty unique because of the fact that SMGs were traditionally, for the most part, the first little bit of the life cycle in a pretty bad spot. I remember there were times where like not even a single SMG was a top weapon in the game. It would just be about all the ARs, but nowadays SMGs, especially with the maps and that people are finally figuring out how to control the recoil, and they're in a decent spot in this game, are getting to a pretty good spot. And that's why number 3 on my list, and of course these are all subjective and people might put them in different orders, is going to be the Spitfire. Now, the Spitfire SMG is absolutely incredible. The first thing is the operator mod, which puts it to like a ridiculous almost 1500, I think it's like a 1484 with a RPM, basically rounds per minute or the fire rate, and that is with the wildfire. But you don't even need that because the time to kill is already ridiculously fast with this weapon, with its already around 1,000 RPM default. And this thing reminds me a lot of the Vesper from Black Ops 3, but the thing I always say about it is that there's no grip available on this weapon, and if there was grip, it might be the best gun in the game. And I know for certain people they still think it is the best gun in the game, and it all depends on your playstyle. Of course, if you're super duper rush happy up close, this is pretty much one of the best, like close to a little bit out, like mid close range. This is probably one of the best guns you can get, and the facts are that just because of the fire rate, because of the damage, the time to kill is extremely fast. And even those strong assault rifles, the ICRs, even stuff like a Titan or a KN or a Rampart, if you run up against an enemy and you guys are shooting at the same time, based on your time to kill, you're going to do well with the Spitfire. Another thing to talk about that makes SMGs a little bit better in this game, which people didn't really tag on to when the game first came out, but I think now with the meta and with people really understanding the game, and myself included, is the fact that you don't have to finish off kills. EKIAs, if you just get damage into a player, which you can easily do with an SMG at range, even if you're not finishing it off, you can still be getting credit for that and be getting points, be getting streaks, be getting, like, you know, credit on the scoreboard and a lot of stuff off of that. So that is another incentive for SMGs, which is basically like, they're not completely useless at long range. Even if you can't get the kills, you can still stack up some points, and that could be a major thing. Next one is going to be the number 2 gun on my list, and this is going to be the Sog 9mm, which I still think is the best SMG. I would put it above the Spitfire. Of course, the Spitfire is better for close range. That's just a fact. However, unless you have the Sog 9mm Kimbo, but this then it's like questionable which one you prefer, personal preference and playstyle. But the Sog 9mm is definitely better overall for doing like everything than the Spitfire, just because it's a little bit more controllable, and the fact that you have stock and stock 2 available on this weapon, which I've been trying a multitude of different class setups. But if you guys have been watching my videos recently, I've been talking about this weapon where I had one setup where I was using it with an ELO and with stock 1, and another one where I went all in with stock 2. And basically what makes this weapon so good overall is the fact that the way the attachments interact with this weapon, it's very unique. And your attachments like quick draw, like fast mags, even like something like stock 2, give you quite a bit of boost compared to what those attachments will do on other weapons. And it's kind of unique, but that's one thing with Black Ops 4 is the way that everything is coded is that they put stuff like, you know, they put no grip on the Spitfire for a reason. They put stuff like having the Sog 9mm be one of the last unlocked SMG, and having all that stuff that you can throw on it. You know, really important stuff was, you know, there's a reason the Spitfire's last to unlock, the Maddox is last to unlock, and the Sog 9mm is last to unlock, and those are some of the top weapons in the game. And I think that with SMGs, they are into a more respectable spot, and some of them might be still a little bit weak, like the GKS, which it's weird how the meta has just completely shifted, because the GKS was one of those reliable guns when all the SMGs were trash at the start. It was pretty decent, you know, because it could actually compete, and especially because there was like some sort of glitch going on with it too, I believe there was. But basically that weapon could compete and was like the mini ICR. But now it's kind of switched to more fast time to kill weapons, especially with the, you know, Nuketown, and Sog 9mm and Spitfire are definitely up and up there. And then coming in at the number 1 spot for the number 1 gun in the game overall, in my opinion, and I don't think there'll be too much argument with this. You know, you might put it number 2 or number 1 or number 3, but I think we can all agree this is like just statistically and straight up the best gun, especially assault rifle in the game, and that's the Maddox. First of all, it's available with the Echo Fire operator mod or without, and it's still absolutely amazing. And this is a weapon that is just so reliable because it's got very little recoil, and the recoil that it does have is pretty much just straight up vertical recoil, maybe a little bit to the right, but it also is just very good overall with utility, and has a super fast fire rate, so it can do the damage at mid-range. Recoil isn't too bad at long range, and the damage fall off isn't awful at all. And then at close range, you can absolutely destroy all the other assault rifles except like the KN with rapid fire, or like if you hit headshots with the Rampart, which, you know, are unique situations instead of just strictly using this weapon. And you can compete with some even SMGs up close, which makes this an absolutely deadly weapon. And if there's ever one game where there's money on the line, I have to have a good game, I would probably, you know, depending on the map and situation, 90% of the time take the Maddox, just because it is so damn awesome in this game. And it's kind of got to an interesting point where it's like, this gun has been the best gun in the game for quite some time now, and it's like, I think Call of Duty really could do a better job of balancing, like, you know how the Spitfire is better at close, but the Sog is better at range? I think there could be a lot more cool stuff and better balancing with the assault rifle category and just with guns overall in Call of Duty. I think that's one thing that they are, you know, because of the competitive scene likes to have a set go-to assault rifle and SMG, or at least, I don't know if that's what they like, but that's how it's sort of gone in past years. So maybe that's what changed, but holds them back, but I'm not really sure why, you know, they don't have guns more evenly balanced, but there's always going to be those standouts. At least that's how it seems based on the history of COD. Anyway, I hope you guys did enjoy this video. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section down below. Drop a like, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new, and I'm out. Peace.